Another year has passed, and that means it's time for another top 5 video. Just like with last year, I'm doing it again, and this video is for my top 5 worst blasters of 2016. I guess you could say they're the bottom 5 blasters of 2016. If you want to see my top 5 best picks, there's a link in the description to where you can go watch that. But in this one, we're focusing on the blasters that just did not have it, and the ones that I think are the worst of the worst. Now before I begin, I'd like to state the very obvious that all of these are my opinions. This entire video is my opinion on what I find to be the worst blasters, and you may disagree with some of these picks. That is perfectly fine. That's how opinions work. Now before you go writing a scathing comment, calling me a meanie head or a jerk or I'm dumb or I don't know what I'm talking about, just remember that you're getting mad over someone's opinion on a hunk of plastic. It really makes you look foolish, and I will probably laugh at you. And with that out of the way, let's start with my number 5 pick, the Nerf Rifle Atlas. The Nerf Rifle Atlas was a very anticipated blaster. It was a pump-action shotgun that actually shot 2 balls at once. That sounded pretty darn cool, but it did not live up to the very high hype that it had. Seeing how it was taking energy from 1 plunger tube and putting it into 2 rounds, the performance was very lackluster, especially for outdoor use. For indoors, it's much more usable because the balls don't actually have to travel as far, so there is some hope in that aspect. Along with having to chamber 2 rounds came jamming issues where the chamber would close on a ball, which is not good, and the blaster size was rather large and a bit clunky. Overall, just not a very good package. There is hope for the Atlas in the form of modding it, which is why this blaster is number 5 on the list and not higher up. You can modify it to shoot 1 ball instead of 2, which gives you better distance, and you can also put a very easy to make hopper system on it so you have higher capacity without having to change your mags out all the time. However, in its stock form, it's just not that great, and it is completely outshined by the Artemis, which has excellent single shot use, and it is super easy to shotgun, which really makes the Atlas not really a blaster that you ever need to buy. My number 4 pick is the Nerf Alien Menace Ravager. With a new line comes new looks, new aesthetics, new types of blasters, and the Ravager really didn't do much. It's a wonky looking blaster that doesn't get good performance, and I feel the only reason you would ever get it is for the looks for like cosplay. Holding only 8 darts, the Ravager was only a little bit less expensive than the Incisor, which was a better blaster overall, holding 20 darts. It was flywheel, it looked way cooler, and it just worked better. The Ravager just really falls flat, and I actually haven't seen anyone talk about it or use one at a war since making my review video, and that's why it comes in at number 4. My number 3 pick is the Doomlands Longarm. It's a Spectre. It's a reshelled Spectre. If you're looking to get something that does well, the Longarm is not for you. You might as well just go buy a Strongarm since they're very, very close to being the same price. And the Strongarm is just better in every single way. The only reason I would say to get a Longarm is if you're going for a very specific look for your blaster or your loadout, or you want to use it for cosplay. The Strongarm holds an extra dart in the cylinder, it has slam fire unlike the Longarm, which is weird, and it just has a better size, is more compact, and it gets elite ranges, all of which the Longarm does not do. Outperform, outclassed, and all for around the same price, the Longarm is a very easily forgotten blaster to the point where when talking about this list to my friends, they said, wait, what's the Longarm? And I had to bring up a picture, which then made them go, oh yeah, that thing. There's no reason to get a Longarm unless, like I said, you're going for a very specific look. Go buy a Strongarm. I don't know why Nerf is trying to sell reshelled Spectres in 2016. I thought we were past this. The number 2 slot goes to the Nerf Battle Scout. There's only one decent thing about this blaster, and that is the camera that comes with it. 720p is a nice step up from the camera that came with the Cam ECS, but don't expect good sound quality from it. For a blaster that cost $70 when it first came out, $50 as of making this video, you get a pump-action, side-loading, harmonica clip-fed blaster that does not have any other clips sold separately. The price to performance of this blaster is terrible. It is a very subpar performing blaster, and I cannot recommend it to anyone. If you want to get a side-loading blaster that uses harmonica style clips, you might as well go with the Buzzbee Destiny because it does the job so much better, and it's cheap enough that buying an entirely new blaster just to get the clip from it is better than buying this and trying to do the same. If you want an action camera to film your wars with, either make a mount for your phone or buy a pre-made one from Nerf, or just buy a knockoff GoPro. And if you want a blaster that does well to go with your action camera, there's a lot of options out there that definitely outperform the Battle Scout. This blaster is garbage, it's expensive garbage, and that's why it's number 2 on this list. And my number 1 spot for worst blaster of 2016 goes to a blaster that I can make an entire 30-minute video on just talking about how awful it is. That is the Doomlands Doubledealer. While the comfort level of this blaster is quite good, it has a nice sized grip, it has a great little front pump action mechanism, the rest of this blaster is awful. The biggest complaint I have is loading and unloading. Not only does it make an airplane out of your mags, having a Raider style mag well system is just terrible. It's easy to unload one side, but once you go for your non-dominant hand, it just becomes a nightmare, and trying to put mags into it is a cumbersome and just fiddly situation. Speaking of cumbersome, the width of this blaster is really wide, making it almost impossible to hug up against walls without your magazine banging against it. On top of that, it doesn't have very good performance, and it has this wonderful ability to jam itself, whether that be from using clear 18-round magazines or from the short angled dart teeth at the front that allow darts to jump up them and go into the other barrel. I don't know how Nerf did this. It must be some engineering marvel, but darts will actually jump out of their barrel and go into the other one. I have this on video. I have talked to other people who have had this happen, and we once had this happen to the point where it took us over 10 minutes to unjam the thing. Even with the little unjam button, it would not prime back, opening up the breaches and allowing us to clear out the jams. We had to get a screwdriver, shove it into the blaster. I don't know how we got it to work, but it finally unjammed. I felt that the effort put into getting it to work again wasn't even worth it, because this blaster is just that bad that I cannot recommend it to anyone. It is a marvel of nightmarish proportions, and that's why it's the number 1 worst blaster of 2016. The Doubledealer is absolute crap. I hate it. So there you have it. My top 5 worst blasters of 2015 are the Rival Atlas, the Alien Menace Ravager, the Doomlands Longarm, the Nerf Battle Scout, and the Doomlands Doubledealer. I'd like to hear what your top 5 worst blasters of 2016 are. Have a discussion in the comments, but please keep it civil. I don't know why you're getting so upset over hunks of plastic. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to go see my picks for the best blasters, link in the description. But I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great 2017.